What's a good word, YouTube? Yeah, I like my gray outfit. Yesterday was red. I thought I'd make today gray, just like the weather outside. Rainy, drizzly, cloudy, shitty, right? Weather that you just don't want to do much with. I just got done revisiting my last video. Had to go over there, respond to a comment. So I watched it, got to thinking about it, pondering life, right? And it became painfully obvious to me, but I felt this way before, and you'll understand why when I get into it. I was being stupid, trying to zip up that collar. It's retarded. Anyway. When I was growing up in this little neighborhood I was talking about in that last video, and then went into the foster homes, I moved from Redwood to Bruno. That's from Redwood City to San Bruno. And it wasn't a poor neighborhood anymore. It was middle class, right? My friends in high school and junior high school up north, right, when I lived close to Frisco, was different than when I lived down south in Redwood, right? And you're only talking, I don't know, 15, 20 miles. It's not geographics, it's the neighborhood, right? I went from a poor neighborhood to a nice neighborhood. I went from black friends to white friends and black friends, but you know what I'm saying. It was from a black neighborhood to a white neighborhood. And for me, that culture change presented a unique set of circumstances for me. Something that people that lived through it, grew up like that, know immediately what I'm going to say before I even say it. And I kind of hinted at it in the last video, but I'm just going to come right out and say it in this one. And the last video got very poor interaction, which tells me so will this one, and I understand why. And it has to do with this gray, right? So, as a kid, when I went from a black neighborhood to a white neighborhood, I went from hanging out with kids smoking cool cigarettes and listening to soul music and bouncing around in a lowrider to kids that listen to rock and roll, smoked Marlboro cigarettes, and cruised around in hot rods, right? It was a white culture. And when I had to make that adjustment, I didn't stop listening to soul music. I didn't stop smoking cool cigarettes. As a matter of fact, my first car I owned was a 66 Chevelle that I bought with my own fucking money when I was 16 years old because I had a job working at the car wash on Woodside Road in Redwood City because I dropped out of high school because I wanted to make money and buy a car. And I did. And I cut the springs in the back, right? The car rode like this down the road. I didn't have no money. I went to a muffler shop and said, dude, cut 2 coils out. The ass end was down on the ground. So when I moved from Redwood City to South City, my foster dad was a mechanic at Redwood General Tire. Funny, he worked in Redwood City, the city that I just got moved from to go live with this fucking idiot. And I'll explain why he's a fucking idiot, or was. He's dead now. But he didn't like that the springs were cut because he was a hot rodder, right? And he was a mechanic. So he's like, oh, we got to put springs in the back of that thing. That ain't safe. And it wasn't. It rode on the bump stops, man. It was fucking, you could knock your fucking teeth out. I get it, right? But I didn't give a fuck. I was 16 years old. I liked the lowrider. Fuck yourself. So anyway, it quickly became apparent, you know, that I needed to acclimate to my new environment. And so anyway, my Chevelle went from a low rider to a high rider. It went from low and slow to fucking jacked up and make it go fast, right? Foster dad helped me rebuild the motor, etc. It was still a pig, but it was my little 283, whatever. So here comes the punchline, right? And this gray color. See, I never really fit. I've always been a loner and an outsider. And I have a better understanding this morning as to why some of that is. Yeah, I'm trying to avoid what it is I really need to say. So there's a word that I can't use because of my skin color, right? It starts with the letter N. But when I was growing up, oh, my little dog grabs my arm right when I said that. When I was growing up, lay down, Kimba. And I moved from the black neighborhood to the white neighborhood, I would get fucked with. Why do you smoke those blank cigarettes? Starts with an N. Why do you listen to that blank music? Starts with an N. What are you, a blank lover? Starts with an N. Hard truth for me. Part of my childhood, though. Fact. No getting around it. And it plays a role, right? Why I'm gray, right? I'm not part of this, I'm not part of that, I'm somewhere in the middle, right? You mix two colors together, they become gray. Man. So needless to say, as a child, I never really fit, right? I didn't fit in my first neighborhood because of my skin color. I didn't fit in my second neighborhood because of who I was. My first neighborhood is who I was because that's where I grew up when I was small, right? When I was with my mother, that was my home. Always was, always has been, always will be. The other stuff, living in Bruno, South City, San Mateo, foster home, that shit wasn't real. That wasn't my family. That wasn't my home. It's my fucking babysitter. So today, I feel a little gray. What can I say? You guys have a good day. Peace.